To New York first this morning, the governor is offering to help find a different location for the proposed Islamic Center and Mosque, which is set to be built around the corner from Ground Zero. Critics of the center say that it's insensitive to the victims of 9/11, to the terror attacks, and Governor David Paterson is expected to schedule a meeting with the developer of the site. But the developer says he doesn't plan to change locations now. President Obama and New York Mayor Michael Bloomberg have both expressed support for the project. Now, the proposed mosque in New York is creating a lot of controversy. Even the president has weighed in on it, but we have a battle of over a mosque right here in our own backyard as well. There's a mosque being proposed in Temecula, and this morning we have both sides of the argument. Rhonda Deniston is opposed to the mosque, and Edgar Hopita is in support of the mosque, and you're both with us this morning. Good morning. Appreciate you being here. Let's start with you.
Thank you.
Edgar, give us a little bit more background on this project.
Well, the Temecula Muslim community has been there since 1998, so over 12 years. Currently, they're in a warehouse near a business district, and they've grown to 150 Muslim families now. So they purchased some land 2 years ago, actually in 2000, and they're working on getting all the paperwork together to build their mosque. And so natural growth, build a mosque. There shouldn't be any kind of controversy on that.
And there hasn't been a lot of controversy until now.
Yeah, exactly, because I think that the controversy, actually I think it's a non-controversy because it's just a trickle-down effect from the New York City community center that's built 2 blocks away from Ground Zero.
And Rhonda, you talked with some of the people that are protesting. Why are they against building this
I have
mosque?
spoken with the opposition to Temecula, and they believe that it's a repressive ideology as opposed to religion, so they oppose all mosques. And I have to agree with Edgar that Americans are hypersensitive right now because of the issues that are going on at Ground Zero and that issue at the mosque in New York right now.
So when we talk about freedom of religion, the whole idea of this group is that being a Muslim, it's not actually a legitimate religion?
The folks that I have spoken with in Temecula that are opposed to the mosque in Temecula do talk about it being a repressive ideology as opposed to a religion.
Okay. Edgar, what's your reaction to that?
Well, I mean, all we got to do is look at the scholarly resources. Islam is one of the Abrahamic world religions, so we don't really need to comment on whether it's a oppressive ideology. It's a world religion, part of the Abrahamic faith, and I think that the whole point of it being a oppressive, ideology or a political movement is, I think, just anti-Muslim propaganda.
There's been also a lot of talk about the fact that some people fear it will not only be a church, but will also be a place for extremists to meet. Is that part of the issue at all in this situation in Temecula?
I couldn't really speak for those of Temecula because we didn't dip into that issue. But again, getting back to the fact that Americans in general are hypersensitive because we have the cleric in New York, Imam Roth, who has been asked on numerous occasions whether he condones or agrees with the fact that Hamas is a terrorist organization. He has avoided and skirted the issue. So therefore, it gives a little bit of suspicion to Americans when it comes to the Islamic faith. Something that's different that people don't talk about within the Islamic faith as opposed to Christianity or other forms of religion is that Islam reaches broader into as far as their judicial system, their governance, and their military, which is completely different than Christianity, which is based on God only. So those elements which would bring the compliance of Sharia law, which could never coexist with the Constitution because the Constitution and Sharia law are as different as night as today.
And Edgar, we're seeing reaction across the country to mosques being built in different communities. And speaking a little bit about the religion itself, is it an issue of education? Do Americans need to be more educated on the Islamic faith and the practices of the Muslim community?
Matter of fact, a lot of the people that are opposed to Islam, some of the polls a couple years ago said that out of the 40 or so that oppose Islam, 60% have little or no knowledge of the religion of Islam. And just to comment on the thing about Islam having a judicial system, Judaism has the same thing, Jewish law, halakha. So Islam is very similar to Judaism and Christianity, that they're part of the Abrahamic faiths, and the fact that Sharia is against the Constitution. I mean, a lot of the values of the Sharia, fair play, justice, equality, is all part of the Constitution as well. So so there's no kind of a contradiction with that.
I'm interested in your perspective on what's happening in New York. with the situation with the mosque there?
Well, it's a full-blown anti-Muslim propaganda. I mean, the whole issue was started by a woman named Pam Geller from the Stop the Islamization of America, which the Southern Poverty Law Center, which is a respected group that monitors hate groups, called it the anti-Muslim hate group. And they're the ones who pushed this story through the pipe, because this incident, or the whole plan, came out in December of 2009. It came out in the New York Times. It didn't make headline until May of 2010. Why is that? It's because this anti-Muslim network that is pushing anti-Muslim, Islamophobic rhetoric. And by the way, this community center is nowhere near Ground Zero. It's 2 blocks away. If you were to look through that Islamic center, you can't even see Ground Zero from there.
Rhonda, your reaction to that? Is this extreme hatred that's fueling all this?
That Americans see Islam as hatred. I think what the thing is that Americans are not seeing the denunciation from the Islamic community when it comes to radical Islamic extremists. So, yeah, there is a fear base to it. I think if the Muslim community and clerics and imams would come out more verbally to denounce the radical Muslim extremist, you have to look back into history. For example, Lebanon. Lebanon was a predominantly Christian country. Back in 1975, they were attacked because they had the same ideology that America had. They were very open. They were very diverse, in that they feel that the Muslim community had latched onto their openness and their acceptance of people, where they became the majority, and then they became to oppress Christians and to have a war in 1975 with Christians. So therefore now they have taken over that country. So a lot of those fears are coming from that as well.
May I comment on the thing about Muslims not condemning terrorism? Well, all we have to do is look at the factual record. Every mainstream American Muslim organization, Muslim leader, scholar, on the record, has condemned terrorism unequivocally. And all you got to do is go to my website, the CAIR.com website. Every mainstream Muslim organization has condemned terrorism. The fact is, nobody's listening.
You know what, before we let you go, I want to ask both of you about this poll that we just saw regarding the president, that more people believe that he is indeed Muslim versus Christian. Let's start with you, Edgar.
Well, the thing is, I think former Secretary of State Colin Powell said it best on Meet the Press a couple of years ago during the election. What if he is a Muslim? Should it matter? And the fact is, he's not a Muslim, he's a Christian. And the fact that people are still talking about his religion shows that there's a big anti-Muslim sentiment in this country. And the thing is that for those to use Muslim as if it's a slur is a big insult to the religious diversity of this country.
Rhonda?
I don't think the idea whether President Obama is a Muslim or a Christian is really the fact of the matter. The fact of the matter is that we have 2 wars going on. We are at war with radical Islam. We're not at war with Iraq. We're not at war with Afghanistan. We're at war with the actual ideology. And the fact that President Obama has not participated in Christian activities within the past. Arlington Cemetery is probably the most renowned one that's happened. That gives a little bit of an eye raiser or eyebrow raiser to those that might question what his faith is.
All right, Rhonda Denniston, Edgar Hopita, thank you so much for joining us today with both sides on the issue. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.